welcome to Francisco's office, the kitchen. He's the YouTube cooking channel Con Mucho Sabor, and he's working on the English side of the YouTube cooking channel as well. He also has his own website, but today we're not going to talk about any of that stuff. We're going to talk about business, 1099s, W9s, all the fun, most awesome aspects of doing the business side of becoming a locum. It might have some crossover as far as independence, it might have some crossover as far as 1099s for other ventures, such as if you're doing Rodan Fields or Pepper Chef for other 1099 activities. If you're a 1099 instructor for CEUs, any of those things, you might want to grab your cup of coffee, have your Wheaties, and I'm going to meet you in the office. Just before we go into the office, I want to talk a little bit about the disclosures. We have to say that we don't have any financial interest in any of the companies. However, I do get referrals from Block Health, National Anesthesia, Odyssey, and Austin Major. If you do talk to them, please mention me. It does help me pay for some of these things that are part of making the videos. From the cameras to the computer and the lights and all those fun things, including the website and its development. So if you can help me out and you are going to go there anyway, please do mention me. It does help a little bit. Otherwise, let's get started and talk about some of those other fun things that we're going to talk about today. A locum. What does a locum stand for? A locum is one that is in place of another. So, when I go to a facility, I am a locum. I go and stand in for another nurse anesthetist at another facility. That may be that they were taken over. It may be that someone's on maternity leave. It may be that they just had some turnover of staff and they need somebody to fill in. The fill-in time or the locum time can be anywhere from a set of days to weeks to months. I've been a place almost 2 years. Everyone is different and every place is different and their reason or need is different. Just like your practice at any given facility may be slightly different based on the types of anesthesia you need to do at that facility, whether it be blocks or hearts or independent versus anesthesia care team. Any of those models are always possible as far as doing locums. You do need to be ready for those, but that's another topic altogether. Today we want to talk about some of the paperwork and understanding just what a locum CRNA is in the eyes of the IRS and accountants and your financial advisors, that kind of thing. So as we talk about it, I hope there's some questions and maybe you put those below in the comments or on the Locum CRNA Facebook page, any of that kind of thing. Sorry about the coffee. Put the coffee down. Alright, so IRS designation of 1099. It's just the form that they fill out. 1099s go out at the end of the year. I'm hoping that I can give you a copy of what a 1099 looks like on the computer as we go through this. So even though my voice is talking, I'm hoping to get you on the computer so we can look at a true 1099. If not, here's the computer screen. It does show the 1099 and all it does is show who's paying it, the tax ID number, the recipient, your TIN or tax ID number, and name and address, all told, and all that information. Anything that is deferred income and that kind of thing really doesn't relate to you. Rents and royalties don't really matter, but there are multiple 1099 forms. It does have to say your tax year when you do receive it, so you have to make sure that that is correct. Overall income, all of these types of income here are different forms of income that are typically non-taxed and will require tax at the end. So you will see that there are different copies of the form 2018, copy A, B, C, copy to be filed with the tax returns, copies for your records, and then copies for the one that issued the 1099 and the IRS for them. So that is some of the information on here. Other income, if any income tax was withheld, but most of the time that does not apply. If you had any dividends or other types of income, they would be marked on this form for you. But 1099 is just meaning that you are not having any taxes taken out of your pay. It is for services as a contractor, typically. There are IRS rules related to 1099. So let's go over some of those. So okay, the IRS website here shows independent contractors defined. People such as doctors, veterinarians, lawyers, accountants, contractors, subcontractors, public stenographers, or auctioneers who are in an independent trade, business, or profession in which they offer their services to the general public, and generally independent contractors. However, whether these people are independent contractors or employees depends on the facts in each case. Of course, they have to have their out just like everybody else. However, that's kind of a basic definition of an independent contractor, is someone that can independently determine and use their own way and method of doing their job, and who controls the outcome of that work is the most important. Whether it's an employer-employee relationship where the employer directs the employee, or if you are independent to choose your own contracts and choose when and how you do your job, and when and how you do your own work. Those are the important concepts related to stating that you are an independent contractor and that you are 1099. So in order to get a 1099, one has to fill out a W9. The W9 is actually very easily filled out. Your name shows on the top line, or your business name on the second line if they are different. Your designation as far as business, if you are a sole proprietor, that is in the first box, or a single member LLC. I do a single member LLC myself, and if any of the others apply, that would mean from me, I am a sole member LLC and S corporation, so I do check both of those boxes. Otherwise, it is a limited liability corporation and S corporation. Both of those designations are considered the same. And other does not apply to you. Your address, city, state, and zip code related to the above, whether you filled in your business or your name. If you are a sole member LLC, it should be your home address. If you are a business, it should be where the business is registered and the registered agent of that business and corporation. Should be in boxes 5 and 6. Exemptions, exempt payee codes, and all that typically do not apply to CRNAs. Your tax ID number is either your social security number or your federal employer ID number. We can talk about registering for an employer identification number. It is actually fairly easy to do. Otherwise, you would just use your social security if you're acting as a sole proprietor. However, your tax burden will be higher on a sole proprietor than on a business. Your signature, of course, and the date in which you filled out the form. And you will have to fill out a new W-9 every time you go to either a new agency, a new anesthesia management group. All it does is tell them exactly where the money is going and who the IRS should be looking to for compensation, because they want a piece of everything you do. Okay, so let's go back to our PowerPoint here on just finding work and that kind of thing. I hope that I've explained what a 1099 is and a W-9 and the typical work for an independent contractor. Okay, so when you say you're a locum, does that mean you're a full-time locum? Does that mean you're per diem? Does that mean part-time? What exactly does that entail? Well, it can entail all of those. You can be a 1099 contractor and think that you're a locum. However, locums usually means traveling around the country and filling in for people around the country. However, you can be locum in your own town, which is different than per diem. Per diem means that you are on a daily basis or day-to-day basis. Per diem can be either 1099 or W9. Per diem just means that you will work 1 or 2 days a week here at this hospital, here at the other surgery center, and you're filling in your calendar as the days go by. So per diem is by the day. Some people are locum per diem, so they pay a hotel rate, a food allowance, as well as your annual or your daily either salary for the day or hourly pay for the time that you're there, with a minimum number of hours that you can work. So there's a lot of different options as far as per diem. If you're in a hospital group, you might be per diem at 2 of their other hospitals, or if you go over 40 hours, then you go to an hourly per diem that is higher than your average W9 rate. So some people will call that locum, but locum typically implies that you're staying in a hotel or having a housing allowance given because you're not in the same area every time you work. There are a lot of things to discuss as far as benefits and what also goes into a W9 employee-employer relationship that we don't have as 1099s, and we should talk about that in a future YouTube episode. I also want to talk about credentials and financials, SEP IRAs versus solo 401k, and just in general contracts, reading your contract and understanding. So if any of those things sound good to you, please subscribe to the YouTube link below, so I know that you're watching and so that you get a video on the next time I submit one. I am going to try and submit a couple initially and then go to like a monthly format as I start back into doing my own locums. I'll be at a GI center next week and a half, and then into Massachusetts for a couple of weeks, and then back GI center and a trauma center. Those are the next few things in my world coming up, and I hope you enjoy these podcasts. If you're getting anything out of them, please let me know.